In starting the program, co-representative of the Japan Climate Initiative, Mr. Shigeo Kato, will give an opening remark. Mr. Kato, you have the floor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming today for the Japan launch event for the Japanese translation of the UN technical report, Seizing the Moment of Opportunity. I am Sergio Shigeo Kato, co-representative of the Japan Climate Initiative, co-organizing the event. Last year and this year, we have been seeing frequent heat waves, torrential rains, flooding, and wildfires due to global boiling. This is indeed what was pointed out or predicted by UNFCCC integrated report, the crises that were predicted, and has become a reality. Climate change is not a remote issue. We might feel that it is remote, but it is a threat to our livelihoods, safety, and lives. And the damage caused by climate change is also having a significant negative impact on the economy. To achieve a decarbonized society, it is time to further accelerate climate action. It would be disastrous if it were too late, and I am sure you feel the same way. According to forecast reports from the World Economic Forum and the Asia Climate Change Investor Group, under a scenario lacking ambitious climate policies, by 2050, which is quite soon in the future, Japan's GDP will be reduced by 10%, which will account for 60 to 70 trillion yen, and annual per capita income will fall in Japan by 600,000 yen. However, I will say there are solutions. By fully tapping into the technologies and knowledge and capabilities that are available to us, we can solve the climate crisis, leading to economic growth, job creation, and improved national security, and even increased people's safety and security and protection of human rights. The UN Special Report, Seizing the Window of Opportunity, states that renewable energy, which is one of the solutions, with sharp improvements in cost and rapid deployment, has now irreversibly crossed a positive tipping point to transition away from fossil fuel. This is quite encouraging. While some areas of the world are experiencing setbacks supported by the rapid expansion of renewable energy and the strong, courageous will of various stakeholders, decarbonization efforts have become an irreversible international trend. As a matter of fact, last week, I was in Climate Week in New York City, and I had the opportunity to exchange views with many people belonging to global companies, U.S. companies, and despite appearing to be holding back on the surface due to headwinds, I saw that corporate executives are pushing ahead with strong commitment with the energy shift. And it was with unwavering commitment that they were expressing that one executive of an American company said, well, Sergio, you know, Japanese market is uncompetitive with renewable energy, difficult to procure, and that India will be a better option. Reading this report, we can see the accelerating trend around the world and the difference with Japan. And I have strong regrets for that. And in this symposium, the contents of the report will be shared with you, discuss how Japan can seize this window of opportunity to transition and leading to next steps. Through our discussions, I'm looking forward to the talks that we were hearing from the speakers who will be taking the stage today. Thank you very much for joining us today. There has been a great deal of interest in this topic, and within a week or 2 weeks, it was all sold out, meaning that many people were unable to join us today. And therefore, I hope those of you who are here today will share what you hear today with as many people as possible to take the lead in taking action. We have about 830 members in our organization, and together with our audience and our global partners, let us continue our efforts to overcome the climate crisis and realize a decarbonized society, ensuring a future in which the 1.5 degrees target is realized. JCI is committed to make continued effort. So with that, let us get started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kato. And next will be the message from the United Nations. Director of United Nations Information Center, Tokyo, Ms. Kaoru Nemoto. Good afternoon. I am Kaoru Nemoto of United Nations Information Center. Indeed, how full this place is. I was excited to come here at the Renewable Energy Institute, the Seizing the Moment of Opportunity, compiled by the report by the Climate Action Team of the Office of the UN Secretary General, released as of July 22nd. I am so deeply grateful because the United Nations alone was not able to do so. And today is the launch event of the Japanese version of the report co-organized by the Renewable Energy Institute and Japan Climate Initiative. My heart is filled with gratitude. Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the United Nations perceive that the climate crisis is the largest threat to the survival of humankind. In the midst of the battle against the climate crisis, this report demonstrates by facts, data, and science that the economic imperative of clean energy is becoming obvious. And clean energy has become the key to the solution, and it is hugely significant to be able to deliver the message and launch the report to the Japanese people in this way. In Japan, this summer, in Isezaki City, Gunma Prefecture, 41.8 degrees Celsius, a record high temperature in the history of Japan's observation, was observed. According to the United Nations World Meteorological Organization, the secular rise in the global temperature is already 1.3 to 1.4 degrees Celsius. Compared to the level before the Industrial Revolution, keeping the rise below 1.5 degrees by the end of this century is still possible, but the possibility is shrinking. If the temperature goes beyond this limit consistently, it will clearly have a tremendous impact on the humankind and the Earth. Science demands climate action. Similarly, the economics also compel action. This is demonstrated by the report. Clean energy has promoted employment, economic growth, and sustainable development, and is producing the cheapest electricity at the fastest pace. It is insulating the economy from the volatility of the fossil fuel market and ensures energy security and sovereignty. Last year, the investment in clean energy was close to 2 times of that in fossil fuels. The reason is clear. Clean energy is competitive and is indispensable for climate action. One stone kills 2 or even 3 birds. China met its 2030 wind and solar target 6 years ahead of schedule. President Xi Jinping announced the policy of cutting the net emission of GHG gases by 7 to 10% from the peak level by 2035 at the climate summit held at the UN headquarters on September 24th. India reached 50% electricity capacity from non-fossil fuels 5 years early. We are in the dawn of a new energy era. This opportunity must not be lost. President Lula of Brazil, who will host the COP30, mentioned during his general debate speech at the UN General Assembly last week, quote, "The COP30 will be the COP of truth." He strongly emphasized this message. Rather than a mere fine-sounding talk, it should be a COP that squarely faces the truth. At the COP30 in Brazil, a reliable global response plan that can lead the world to the correct trajectory must be established. In the last 10 years since the adoption of the Paris Agreement, the projected global temperature rise by the end of this century has dropped from 4 degrees Celsius to less than 3 if the current policies are executed, and can be compressed to less than 2.6 degrees if the respective NDCs are fully implemented. What this means is, if our efforts are brought together, results can be produced. And it also means that in order to keep the rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, we must accelerate bringing together our efforts. This July, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, one of the major organs of the United Nations, issued a historic advisory opinion on climate change, with the legal opinion of the ICJ on the relationship between climate change and human rights. The legal responsibility of the states have become clear. This has brought the possibility that the non-implementation of climate measures could be ruled as breach of international law. This advisory opinion was based on the request by the UN General Assembly resolution adopted in 2023, but the origin of the resolution was a bottom-up grassroots campaign led by the young people of the Southern Pacific region. This is an evidence that even though the power of each and every individual may be tiny, when those powers come together, a huge upswell of momentum can be made. Whenever I lose sight of any solution to an issue, when I am discouraged, I often recall this success story of the opinion of the ICJ. On the 24th of September at the United Nations Climate Summit, Secretary General Guterres concluded his remarks as follows, quote, "The science demands action. The law commands it. The economics compel it, and people are calling for it." In order to formulate this framework of multi-stakeholder collaboration for a transition to green energy, this report, Seizing the Moment of Opportunity, we believe will be a crucial driver. For today's launch event of the Japanese version, Assistant Secretary General of the Climate Action Team and Office of the SG, Selwyn Hart, has prepared a video message of his expectations and requests for Japan. Thank you for your attention.